Hello, welcome to Thank You Half Hour. I'm your host, Tom Christopher Warren, and today, what can I even say about my special guest? I'm so excited that she's here. So, dear friend, Columbus local, thankfully we can claim her as our own. She is the founder, one of the founders of the remarkable indie soul band Honey and Blue. They've appeared on ABC's Good Morning Columbus, featured Picture Perfect, the Tiny Desk performance on NPR, Broad and High on PBS. Please welcome my very dear friend, Stephanie Amber. Hi.
What an introduction.
I'm sorry, I had to look at my notes.
No, I love it. Can
You
you
just-
come to every Honey and Blue show and just introduce? And then
I mean, can I? I'm obsessed with Honey
it's
and
just
Blue.
me walking on stage, and that's not nearly as impressive.
Listen, for my Honey and Blue is a band that is huge here in Columbus and surrounding areas. If you've not yet listened to them, their most recent album, Bloom, right, came out just a few months ago.
It's been just over a year and a half now.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah,
That's
because we started
bananas.
doing all these different singles now in different eras. So I don't know how it happened, but it's been a year and a half.
Listen, get out there and download anything you can get your hands on Honey and Blue because it is sexy, it is exciting, it's dynamic, it's such beautiful music. And this is a theater podcast, right? So we're going to talk theater for sure.
Of course.
But your musical voice combined with your partner, Adam Darling, who sings and plays bass, and the two of you are Honey and Blue, and your chemistry together, obviously, is impeccable. It's just incredible to watch the two of you riff off of each other. You know, it's like watching a conversation between lovers, right? When he's playing and you're singing,
It
you're singing
truly
together.
is, though. It truly is.
Incredible.
I mean, our foundation was friendship first, but we quickly fell in love and we just had so much chemistry. And I think we tried to, like, when we first started playing together, being a little more like coy about it and like, oh yeah, no, we're not together. And then the minute we embraced it,
Yeah.
the music got better, the show got better, we were received better because we weren't putting on any facade. And I don't know how to be anything else other than like me. And he doesn't know how to do that either. So it just kind of works.
I wouldn't want either one of you to be anything other than the nerds that you are because you're both just so yummy, you know? And you and I connected immediately upon meeting. And
God, yes.
the same with Adam and myself. I just watched the two of you and I'm like, I want to watch the two of you just exist in this space forever and ever. And then there's the music, which is remarkable. So thank you for being here. Thank you for
Having
saying
me. I have
yes.
listened to pretty much every single episode because I'm obsessed with you and you can do no wrong. I literally, actually, I was at a dinner last weekend and I was talking about you, and we both couples know you and love you very much.
Oh.
And I was like, he can do no wrong in my eyes. Like, he could slap me in the face and I would be like, that
Never.
was the best slap of my life and I totally deserved it. Like, that's like
I hate you. Wait, who were you at dinner with?
Dio and Corey.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Angels.
We have good people in our lives.
Such good people. Columbus, come
Yeah,
on.
I know.
I did not expect her.
How long have you been here?
I want to say 8 years now.
Okay, so really just a little longer than my husband and I have been here for almost 7. So yeah, and I didn't expect it
No.
either. I mean, I knew I would like it,
Yeah.
right? But I didn't expect the art scene. I didn't expect the music scene. You must have, or you wouldn't be
Well,
here.
so I had come here once, and that was when we recorded our first album,
Oh.
which actually does not exist anywhere on the internet because she is what she was.
Okay.
But so I flew out here with him, and this was his hometown. We had an amazing deal with a recording studio, and it was perfect. And he was like planting the seeds and kind of showing me around. And after I had met some of the musicians in town, and it was just over a week that we recorded an entire album, met people, and then we flew back to LA. And I was like, okay, she cute. It's like kind of good here.
Yeah.
But I didn't think this was going to be like my end game by any means. I was like, I'll be here for a year. And then I was thinking either Nashville or New York because that we were doing the songwriter thing. And I was like, this makes sense. And then after a year here, I was like, whoa, the scene here is delicious.
And the people. You know, I'm older than you are, but I think we both can say that we're too old to surround ourselves with people who aren't our people, right? Our tribe. I don't have time for any of the nonsense anymore. Do you?
No, God, no.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this a lot. It's like, I think being in the arts is the best job in the world. It is such a
Yeah.
gift. And like, if I'm not surrounded by people that don't treat it with the respect and the love and the care
Mhm.
in any capacity, higher ups, whatever, it's just not worth it
Yeah.
because it's too hard.
And if they don't have the fun, right?
Mhm.
Because once it stops being fun, go recalibrate, go do something
Yeah.
else, come back to it.
Yeah.
But like,
Take a beat. That's fine.
this is play. It's creative play. It's healthy play.
Mhm.
But if it ain't fun, there are plenty of other things to
Yeah.
go do.
And plenty more money.
I mean, oh, you're not in this for the money?
That's so crazy.
I totally am.
Like-
That's why I podcast for the cash windfall that it affords
It's
me.
just raining on us.
Okay, so tell your version of how we met,
Okay. Oh God.
because I know what it is in my head, but
I love this. I had taken a very long break from theater. And that's like a whole nother story of how I came to fall in love and then fall out of love with it.
Mm.
And I took a break and I was like, I don't think it's for me. I think I love it. And I always wanted to be a part of my life in some capacity.
Mhm.
And I had heard that Little Shop of Horrors was coming to Short North Stage. And it was weirdly enough, that was the first show I ever was in when I was a kid.
I
Ever.
didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Who were you?
So my family, when we were kids, I fell in love with theater and we just could not afford lessons at the time. My mom was
Right.
like, baby, we're gonna make this work. So she auditioned for a local production of it. And
Obsessed.
she was like, we're just gonna all audition and we're gonna see how it goes. And even if like one of us get into it, like we can come for rehearsals
Yeah.
and we'll just learn.
Right.
And that's how we were doing it. Because she's amazing. So we were like, cool, like if we get into it, we get into it. And they thought we were so precious. So it was me and a couple of other kids. And we were like the mini trio. Like we were the mini
Obsessed.
version.
Yeah.
So we just like followed them out on stage and we were just like sassy little kids. And like, they let us steal some of the lines. Like,
Right.
and that was it. And that was my best memory of like theater. And I was maybe 9 years old when we did that. That was like my first theatrical like thing.
How did I not know that?
I even remember I had like the flu and I was like vomiting and like I was like, I'm going on stage. And I begged my mother, I was like, please let me go on stage. And she's okay. She's gonna do what she's gonna do.
Yeah.
But then, long story long, this show happened and it was coming into the Short North Stage and I loved it so much. And Amber Nicole was like, baby, you gotta try out. You just gotta put yourself out there. And I was like, I am so terrified. It's not my world anymore. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And I sent in a video and
Because a video is safer, right, than showing up
Yes.
in a room.
I was still shaking. Like
Sure.
it was Adam just standing there, with the camera, you're amazing. And I was like, which is so stupid now that I think about that. But I did it and you called me in pretty quickly after that. And the minute that I walked into that room and meeting you, this is the most comfortable and safe I had ever felt in an audition room. And I just felt so confident in joining that cast because of you and because of how kind and open you were. And I think you could understand like the nervousness that I had in that.
I
know, 'cause
couldn't.
it wasn't
No,
my
because you were a
world.
star to me. Whatever.
Oh God.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, then we did that show and it was like it opened up that world again for me.
It's the world in which you belong. I mean, not that you don't belong in songwriting. Of course you do. And that's part of what's happening in the arts right now is we are figuring out how to be hyphenates, right? We are
Yes.
figuring out how to exist we don't have to pigeonhole ourselves. Before we went on the air, we were talking about labels and, how do you label this? How do you label that? We like these comfortable little boxes.
Mhm.
And you're like, fuck boxes, right? I
Absolutely.
want all of them. I
Yeah.
exist in all of these spaces.
Life is too short and too delicious to be one thing,
Right.
to feel stuck to one thing. And I think that was something that I kind of resisted when I was younger, that I was like, oh, well, if I'm a theater baby, I have to be a theater baby.
Right.
If I'm a songwriter, I have to be a songwriter. And then over the last few years and just becoming more confident in who I am as a person, I'm like, these are all strengths. I don't know why I'm shying away from, I like to be a producer. I like to be a director. I like to, conceptualize music videos. These are all things that I shied away from because it's like, oh, those aren't my worlds.
Isn't
You
it
can
something?
exist in all of them. You can have an entire universe
You
if you
thrive
want.
in all of them.
Yeah.
And you love to interpret the words of others, and you're equally
Absolutely.
remarkable at that. I have so much respect for who you are and what your voice is, and your this
Thanks.
voice, right? For those listening, I'm pointing to my heart. Okay, so my version of how we met is you sent in your videotape, and I was like, we're never gonna get her. She's way too good. We're not paying enough. There's just no way. But listen, let's try, because if we don't try, but we need a solid plan B because she's gonna say no. And then I knew that I wanted Carter Minor, who I should also
Harder.
have on this, uh, to be one of the urchins, but I really didn't know what that looked like musically to replace a female presenting voice with a male presenting voice.
Hmm.
So under the auspices of, I think we called it a callback or whatever, it really was to see how we can incorporate this male presenting voice. So you were hired, just didn't know it, and brought you in, and it was also an opportunity for us to like vibe, right? To see
Yeah.
if we, and you walked in, I'm like, okay, she's my people, great. And then you weirdly said yes to the project, which was baffling to
I would
me.
follow you anywhere. If you're like, hey, I got a
Well,
nickel
feelings mutual.
for
Yeah.
4 months of work, I'd be like, I'm in.
Feelings complete
I'm in.
mutual. And yeah, we all fell in love with each other. The whole Little Shop experience was joyful and
So joyful.
vibrant and creative, and we all learned so much from it. And we were having conversations that don't always align with that show, which was really exciting, right?
Yes.
And
I just
so
loved how thoughtful you were with it too. That it was like it would have been too easy to just do the show as it was written. And it's a great show and it's
yeah.
fun and it's high energy, but you just took so many smart
Oh.
like re-navigations. I don't even want to say changes, like re-navigations that I was like, oh, this is the shit.
Well, that's the thing, to be able to take something, and I was just having this thought earlier today. There are so many revivals, right? But it's the revivals that re-examine, that don't change the material, but look through an entirely different lens, that kind of blow my mind.
Yes.
There was a Once on this Island revival several years ago in New York that did that. There was a revival of Oklahoma, Daniel Fish directed, that completely turned it on its end. Every note was the same, every word was the same,
Mm-hmm.
but the lens through which they looked was polar opposite, and so it suddenly became a different show. That's exciting to me. And so, I didn't want to change anything with Little Shop, and there's a production off Broadway right now that is thriving.
Mm-hmm.
That is a love letter to the original production. I loved it. I wanted us to do something a little different, and through
I
the
would
help of
argue to
you
say
all,
that it was a love letter from Columbus because I think
yeah,
like the heart
yeah,
and soul was still there. It was just a really cool interpretation,
yeah.
and you did such a good job of getting people together that like it was the best
Good group,
experience. It
good
was such
group.
a good group.
And we're lucky because it wasn't, often we gather a group here in Columbus of local actors because we know each other and we know each other's vibe and we know each
Hmm.
other's quirks. And so we can gather a group and know how to navigate it. We had a lot of folks that were new to us, both Carter in high school
Hmm.
and seasoned pros. And we just lucked out.
It was great.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Hmm.
So you're a theater nerd at heart.
Through and through.
Yeah. I want to tell me okay. So my typical first question is what opened your eyes to theater? And you already told me that with Little Shop at 8 years old.
Yeah.
But what was that entry point like for you? What inspired you?
So I was such a weird kid. I will
I
full
believe.
on say that.
You're a weird
Because
adult.
I'm a super weird
That's
adult.
what I love.
Have you met me? Come on. And I love it. And so my mom showed me the movie Calamity Jane when I was a kid.
Oh
And
my
I was
God.
like, what is this?
Oh,
This
wow.
is like the joy of my life. Like
Wow.
I wanna be in that world. And I didn't know what that looked like. And my first crush was Howard Keel. And I was like, I'm gonna I was like, that was like all these kids were
Hilarious.
like talking about like their first crushes, and I was like, I'm gonna marry Howard Keel.
Long dead.
Like that, I had no idea. And my mother didn't have the heart to tell me that. So she's like,
Hilarious.
you're gonna marry him, baby. Totally.
I love our mom.
Love mom.
Yeah.
And around that same time, I had heard Aretha Franklin's Ain't No Way.
Mm.
So I like not only knew that I wanted to perform, but I wanted to make people feel something because she like rocked my spirit. And I didn't know what that looked like, but I was like begging my mother. I was like, I want to do this. I want to learn how to do this. And that's when she took me to start auditioning for some community theater because, like I said, we didn't have the means, but we had a way. And my mom was like, we're going to learn School of Life. Like, you're just going to watch and I did. And every rehearsal, I just sat there and would look at all of the adults and like follow them around like a little cat and just like writing everything down in this notebook. And I was like, I'm going to do this.
Of course you did.
And it was like that was like kind of a pattern for me. I remember in choir in elementary school, they wouldn't allow my age group to join the choir until the following year. There just wasn't enough discipline. There wasn't, and I told my mom, I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm waiting a year. So I like had a presentation and like my
Mhm.
mom was like, hey, to the choral director's like, hey, she's not gonna let up. Can you just talk to her for 5 minutes? And I like had a presentation that I was like, I will be more determined
No.
than anybody else. And like this was like baby elementary school stuff. And they let me in. And I got the solo that year because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna find every one of these kids. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be in this. And that was like kind of the course of my life. Like I loved theater, I loved acting, I loved that universe.
Mm.
And I did it all through high school. And I even knew like when I graduated, there was only one school I wanted to go to, which was AMDA. And I was like,
Yeah.
that is the school I'm gonna go to. I didn't audition for anything else. I didn't have a backup plan. Like I was like, that's it.
Well, AMDA back because I went to AMDA as well, and
That's right, I
back then
forgot.
they promoted at high school. Like you got literature in high school from AMDA. So
Mm-hmm.
and other schools didn't necessarily do that. So I knew about AMDA in a way that I
Yeah.
didn't know about other programs. So it
Yeah.
seemed like the natural
Yeah. I was like,
choice.
this is the school.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is just my perspective. I know that there's a lot of other people that went there, thrived, loved it, but
Yeah.
I've always been, and I jokingly refer to myself as like an exposed nerve.
Mm.
Like I'm just like so emotional and feel everything so deeply. And I was so excited to be in the world of people that were as hungry as I was and motivated as I was and like wanted this so badly. And the teachers that I was exposed to, they didn't necessarily nurture that side of
Mhm.
me. They just didn't know what to do with me
Right.
because I wasn't at the time, I didn't have like a legit, theater kind of voice. I was just me.
Yeah.
And there wasn't that many spaces for it. And, being a Puerto Rican woman. And on top of that, having a voice that wasn't necessarily the thing that was working a lot of the time, it was kind of crushing for me to hear like, we could keep you in this program, but you might not have a career. And I took that so much to heart,
Mhm.
which now, I had just turned 18 too. Like I had just turned 18. So I was a baby. And I took it to heart and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe this isn't for me. And I stayed for a little while longer and I was putting myself through school. So I was like, I don't think this is the right path then. If I'm gonna be spending this much money, maybe I just take a break. And I did. And it was a kind of a soul crushing thing, but I'm really grateful that it happened because I
Mm.
saved up all my money and I was like, let me go to LA. I'm going to go there. I'm going to try the songwriter thing. No one had ever heard any songs I'd written. No one had ever, like, I was like, yeah, let's try it. And I was auditioning for theater then, but my heart wasn't in it. And I had gotten some callbacks for some amazing things. And like, I was just talking to Di about this. I was like down to the nitty gritty for American Idiot's national tour,
Stop it.
like literally in the room with Tom Kitt. And like, they had like a camera, filming all of it. And I self-sabotaged.
Yeah. We all do.
And because I wasn't ready. I was like,
Sure.
no, this is too real. I'm not supposed to be this far in these things.
Success is scary.
It's fucking
Yeah.
terrifying. Oh, am I allowed to curse?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, it's fucking terrifying. It's like, and I just kept having that narrative as like, oh no, you're not supposed to be here. And it took me a long time to like find my way, find my confidence, accept that like, I'm just who I am. And this voice that I have, maybe it's not, maybe I'm not the most incredible performer. Maybe I'm not the most seasoned in these capacities. I will work myself to the bone and I will probably outwork 90% of the people in the room because I want to be great in some capacity. Maybe not the greatest, but I want to be great.
Maybe you are the greatest. How about that as a possibility?
Ooh.
Let's preserve the possibility of you are, in fact, remarkable at what you do. And
Stop.
listen, part of that is talent. And a big part of that is how hard you work. It just is. You're a testament to perseverance, hard work, being where you should be when you should be there, right? So,
And sometimes long after I should be there because I'm still working and people are like, go home.
I mean, listen, but that's part of it. That's the sustainability. Those are the people that you want to work with, right? Don't you look for that quality in your colleagues?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And because of you, that's where Go Big, Go Broadway.
Ooh, talk about Go Big, Go Broadway.
Yes.
What is that?
Go Big, Go Broadway is like my love letter to Columbus. It's like the hybrid of the worlds that I love the most. And I was like, I want to be around all of these talented people that I know. And I wasn't quite ready to get back into auditioning, because I knew that I was like, I have this now this like reanimated love for
Yeah.
theater. And I just didn't want to go back into that auditioning because I was so excited about this newfound confidence. And I was like, I don't want that to shake me just yet. Just yet. Like, I'm going
It's
to do
also a
it.
different fiscal world, right?
Yeah.
You're making your money
Hmm.
gigging.
Oh, yeah.
And to transition or to expand that to theater auditions really does mean a sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
And listen,
But why not have like all of it?
why not?
Like, why not?
Yeah.
So I started Go Big Go Broadway. I think it was a year after
Little Shop.
Little Shop. I think it was like a year. Yeah, it was a year. And because I had this brain bubble of like, I want to bring a band that's not generally musical theater
Right?
and bring out half of a crew of theater and half a crew of my world and let people see us being the multifaceted humans and letting this interweaving in a way that like I think it just makes a very delicious show because someone like Sid McSweeney is
Sydney McSweeney. Again, look her up. Listen to her. Go see her in
Go
concert if you
see her.
can. This voice is, and part of the thing about Go Big that was so remarkable is all of the voices that you had were singular.
Mhm.
No one sounds like anyone else. And Sid's voice is so,
gorgeous.
yes, gorgeous. They're all gorgeous. It's so yummy. It's so delicious. It's so fuzzy and warm, and it's like a hug. And then combined with your bright, beautiful, clear, you managed to cast, if that's the right word, a group of artists who blend perfectly and also have singular, unique sounds
Yeah.
that serve them as individuals. That's cool.
Well, thank you. What's funny is like, I know that I'm like hosting it and I'm leading that, but my thought process was never, it's about me. I was like, I want to put all these people on in this show.
You're
And then like
producing it.
selfishly, I want to sing a duet with you. Like what, like
Right.
if someone's not going to cast me, I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to do it myself.
And with, you talked about your band, like musicians at the top of their game, right? So
Like, these are very, very modest men, but like Dwight Bailey was on tour throughout the entire world with Dr. John.
Come on.
Like, we've had some of those musicians have been on the same stage as Stevie Wonder, like just insane artists. And I think that's the other cool thing is that people are maybe not necessarily aware that we have this hub here in Columbus, Ohio.
A hub of generosity too, right? There was so much generosity in that room both years that we've done it.
Yeah,
where
and that's super intentional. That's super
absolutely. Well, that's you, the producer, creating a space where everybody just feeds off everybody else generously and makes it fun and makes it creative and is an outlet for some of us to do stuff that we wouldn't necessarily be allowed to do elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, and the audiences have been
amazing,
rabid for it.
Amazing.
They love it.
I didn't expect that. I think the first year we did it, I was like, I believe in this show. I think it's great. But the after.
Incredible.
What's going off? Can you hear that?
we have a phone going. I was actually wondering if it was my phone.
Oh my God. Wait, can I turn it off?
Yeah, turn it off.
Oh, I'm such a turd.
We're back. I was just thinking, Stephanie Amber, what a turd. Absolutely obsessed. Yeah, Go Big was. She's back. She's back. I do want to touch on the fact that this is the arts, I think in general, creates a fragile mental health landscape because we are putting everything out there.
Yes.
We are exposing, you said it, a raw nerve, and we're all doing that. And we've had conversations privately about things that were said to you by so-called instructors, and that's not how, it's not what I think teaching is. And it infuriates me. And you survived that and are thriving now because of it. What advice do you have for the young artist who is told there's no space for you? You're too fill in the blank. Tall, short, fat, thin.
I would say that's not your person, and they're not they're there to do more harm than good. That's the space that you leave. And also, I'm a firm believer, if you are not in the spaces that you want to be, create those fucking
There you
spaces,
go.
because there's always going to be somebody that has a different perception of who you are as an artist, who you are as a performer. And sometimes you have to lay out the map and say, baby, this is what I can do. If I could tell younger Steph something, that it would be, don't put validity and self-worth into somebody else's praise. Your validity comes from within.
Yeah.
And that's such a cliche thing to say, but it's like, it's such a hard thing for a young person, especially a young person like me that just so like, I'm a people pleaser. I want it so badly to like please these professors. And if there's anybody that's like an overly emotional, raw nerve that wants to please others, I think you need to please yourself first and learn who you are first. Because if you're constantly negotiating your art, your self-worth for the people surrounding you, you will never figure out who you are as a performer. And that's the thing that took me
Yeah.
the longest. And now I'm like, bring it on, world.
Yeah. We try to calibrate based on what we think somebody wants of us, and there's no successful path to that.
No.
Calibrate to it, or we compare ourselves to somebody
Yeah.
else. Compare yourself to where you were last week. Compare yourself to where you were last year.
Yes.
Don't compare yourself to somebody else.
No.
I tell my students, if you're comparing bags of candy to somebody else, someone's always going to have a bigger bag of candy. You will never be happy. But think about where you are as compared to where you were and what you've learned from experience.
My mentality has always been, if I see someone who's getting an opportunity that I like desperately wanted, and maybe we were going out for the same thing and they got it.
Sure.
My brain doesn't go, oh, why not me? This should have been mine. Like, that's
Right.
not, my brain goes, okay, cool. What can I learn? Like, how can I examine what they're doing? Because I want to do that and do it in my interpretation.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a younger person's mentality. If you don't look at it as that way and you're just in competition, to me, that's a loser's mentality.
Right.
Because like, I can never be a Tom Christopher Warren. I can learn from you. I can emulate. I can parrot so I can understand it better. But like, I could never do the things that you do.
No one will be a better Stephanie Amber than Stephanie Amber. No one. It's impossible, right?
Wow.
I've also met your family, so I know where you get this from. Your family is magic, and
They're pretty great.
because of that, you're magic. And you and Adam have created your own magic that you will then pass on to everyone with whom you work or interact. It's pretty fucking cool.
You're pretty fucking
You're
cool.
pretty fucking cool. Whatever. What have you seen anything lately theatrically that has inspired you or reignited some flame?
It's actually, I've been kind of in a bubble because we've been recording, but I think it's a movie that I just saw recently. And I'm so late to this. I'm so late to it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once was something that like I just saw it last week. And it's because we've been in such hardcore recording mode. Like we wrapped Go Big and then we went right into recording. So I feel like I haven't like had time. And that like we took a break and we watched that movie and it was one of the most beautiful pieces of art I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of like how we can be fighting for joy and not realizing that we're like not fighting with the right tools. It was just
Yeah.
That's probably the most inspiring thing because I'm someone that's fascinated by human relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love to write music about and to understand it from so many perspectives and so many, dimensions. But my interpretation was not that it was just dimensions. It was all these facets that we have within us that you just have to kind of face to be kinder to the entire world. It was a good one.
What are you writing about now? Like, what do you find happening in the world, in your world, that is sort of informing what you're writing?
What's funny is actually nobody knows that. Without saying who it's about, there's someone very close to me that's in a very big transition in their life.
Okay.
And we were going for a walk and we were having a good conversation about like how difficult a transition can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then she threw her head back and was like, I'm just so excited for the future, even in this like difficult time. And I was like, oh my God, I have to write about this. I have to write about this perspective. So we're writing a perspective. We have a couple of songs that we're working on right now, but one of them is writing the perspective of what it looks like when you finally get to feel light again after something very devastating.
Wow.
In the middle of that. And then I couldn't help but my brain go, I want the opposite end of that. What does that look like to be the person that's just been kind of left in this state that they're not in that lighter stage. So I kind of am writing of two different perspectives of someone that I love very much.
What does that weigh on you? Are you able to put that aside at the end of the day? I say end of the day metaphorically. Are you able to sort of compartmentalize, or how much of that do you carry?
Oh, I carry it.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
Every time I sing it on the stage. Every time and it's like, I think if you can find a healthy way to carry it and like as like a little bit of an honor that you get to
Sure.
tell those stories
Sure.
versus like how heavy some of these concepts can be, I think that's like the good balance, because they're stories that need to be told, I think.
That's why you're such a good actor too, is because you have an understanding of how to crawl into the shoes of another through your songwriting and just do it honestly and without pretense or facade. And you do that on stage. I'm going to say effortlessly. Maybe it's not effortless. It looks effortless, right?
I have to tell the story though. You know, that means so much because I always joke, I'm like, she's a songwriter first, everything else is secondary. But we're not doing self-deprecation.
No, we're not.
We are the things. We're doing all the things.
We're in our confident era.
We're in our confident era. But I do remember during Sondheim on Sondheim, which we...
Oh God, I forgot all about that.
I
Literally
know!
Wow. We put that thing on its feet in seconds.
Like a week. All of that music in like a week and a half.
And it was so rich.
It was so good.
Anyway, I interrupted.
So 2 things of acting. One was your masterclass in, oh my God, what was this? What is the song that I'm thinking of?
Being Alive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Oh, you mean like the most well-known. Being Alive, watching you, even during rehearsals, like giving everything. You know, some people are like, oh, let me just get, it's rehearsal,
Sure.
it's tech, whatever. And you're like, no, bitch, I'm going to serve the emotions, the tears, the masterclass every single time.
You do the same thing.
Like I watched at like just from the wings and I was like, oh my God, I need to drink in every bit of this because you're so brilliant. And like, I'm learning. That's like, I'm like, let me sponge some of that.
You're too generous. But who has time to mark?
Thank you.
Especially when we don't often have the
And we had a
outlet.
week and a half.
Right.
But I remember now, I was very, very nervous about doing that song and for flipping
Which
it
one?
because
Now
it
You
was
Know?
like very, for Now You Know. And I was
You
doing
are
it in like a
masterclass.
very aggressive way. I don't know why that was my choice, but I was like, I'm going to be
It
super
is, though.
aggressive with it.
That's it's high stakes. It's urgent.
Yes.
That's the path you chose, and it was thrilling.
I was like, to me, the way that it's written, it gives me anxiety in a good way.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
like, you could be like the nurturing friend that's like here for you. But to me, I was like, it's really yummy to be like, I'm having a whole breakdown while I'm comforting you. And we're
Right.
going to get through this together.
And you're saying get it together.
Yeah, get it
Pull
together.
it together because life's too short.
Mhm.
Now, it's a brilliant lyric. It's a brilliant song. And it was a brilliant interpretation.
But you were so sweet because I was so nervous about it because I was like, oh my God, this is a big song.
Oh, I couldn't wait
And
to
you
hear
just
sing that
like
song.
stood outside and just, kept an eye on me. And that was like,
I watched it every night.
That's a talk of your nurturing kindness and friendship that you like were like, I'm going to be here every night and make sure that you're good.
But you're the same way. Don't you love watching people succeed?
Oh God, yes.
Like it's
God, yes. There's nothing better in the world.
not even selfless. It's
friend.
selfish. It's selfish to
Yes.
sit there and watch someone
Yes.
and just soak it all up.
Yes.
I watched your performance every night because I'm greedy for it. It's not altruistic. Well, let's do Sondheim on Sondheim again.
Yes. Yes.
I think it made $5 for the theater, but
worth it.
for us, God, that was joyful.
Oh my God. I was so sad when it closed because I was like, I was just
starting to learn it.
just starting to know where I was supposed to be at certain points.
Facts. But that's same thing with Go Big, right? We do these events that take months and months of pre-planning, but really you're only together in a room for 5 seconds before you're in front of an audience. And so there's all this adrenaline and there's all this. I was having this conversation with Doug Sills on a podcast interview because we did a 1 week like benefit thing together. And you're out there by the seat of your pants going, okay, well, I've done this my whole life. So we'll rest on that. And hopefully the words and the notes will come together.
Yes.
I don't know. And there's something about that terror that informs something very exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm. And I love that, like, especially in like a concert style, like Go Big. I mean, it's not scripted. It's not like the show is set to what it's supposed to be, but everything else is open to interpretation. And the artists are supposed to do whatever they want.
But it's also not on book. So just learning everything. There's this, and as you get to an advanced age, as I myself am doing, it does become harder. Like just the learning of the words, the
Mhm.
learning of the roadmap of the notes takes a lot of
Yeah.
drilling, and we all have our own way of learning. Right? I tell my students, learn how you learn best,
Yeah.
because
Wait, how do you learn best? What is like
so I don't read music. So for me, I pay somebody to plunk out the part
Mhm.
along with the melody,
Same.
and then I spend hours and hours and hours drilling it on my own. And if I didn't, and nobody sees that part,
Mhm.
but if I didn't do it, I wouldn't show up in the room and know what I'm doing. I'd look like an asshole.
I've
I would be an
seen the
asshole.
footage of you doing Poor Unfortunate Souls, and it's perfection.
Well, I enjoy that song.
It's
It's a
perfection.
fun marriage of material to human psychology. She's fun. She's
And
fun.
honestly, I mean, don't tell the others, but our duet was my favorite.
Oh, I love the so this is love, da, da,
Mhm.
da, da. And we don't, we think of the Disney canon as the sort of renaissance of Disney from Mermaid to now, and it's
Mhm.
easy to forget about the older stuff. And it
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. So going back to that was a
I loved
great
that we did
gift.
like, because I couldn't decide. I was like, I know I wanted So This Is Love. And A Whole New World is like, it's classic, it's
Classic, it's canon,
iconic.
yeah.
It's like you have to put it in the show. And then I was like, David, can we do both? Can I have
Yes,
both songs?
we
And he was like,
can.
let's do it.
Well, I mean, when you have David at the helm, when you've got a genius going, we can do anything you want to do. Let's just figure out how to do it. That does make it
And he's such a
fun.
cool cucumber. Like, no matter what's being thrown at him, he's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's get it.
Good people in a room is good times.
Good
It really is.
times.
And I'm going to tell the story. Oh, God, I'm running out of time. God, I just blab. I just took a glimpse at the clock. Good Lord. But I don't even know what I was saying. You saying to me in private, I think I'm going to take a year off. And I just looking at you going, okay, if that's the narrative you want to tell yourself right now, great. But we can both agree that that is not how you
Absolutely
operate.
not.
It's just not. You're a
Absolutely not.
producer at heart. You're a creator at heart. That creator takes shape as a songwriter, as an actor, as a producer, as all these things.
Mhm.
But you're never idle,
No,
right? Like,
no. No, I can't sit still.
no.
And there's just I have this internal clock that's like, baby, life is short.
Right?
And that like motivates me, not in like a scary way. Like I'm like the type that's like, I made it to another birthday. I want to celebrate that and scream it from the rooftops, and then we get back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like that's just my
Yeah.
mentality. And it's so cool because I loved this. I think this concert so much. I loved it so much because the entire process was like the vibes were so beautiful and supportive, and meeting someone like Connor who fit
A lot of that came
so.
from Connor.
Mhm.
And not because simply because he was the outsider coming in, and
Mhm.
that can often set the tone.
Yeah.
And in this case, it did in the very best way.
Yes. He came in and I was like, you're so brave, because that's a very intimidating thing
Yeah.
to know that all of us not only know each other, but are very close with each other. And like we've all worked together in some sort of
It's
capacity.
very weird to watch.
Yeah.
And this is
then to come
Connor
in.
Ryan we're talking
Oh,
about, who
yes, yeah.
star of the national tour of Moulin Rouge,
Mhm.
came and guested in this concert and wasn't a friend of yours necessarily. You'd
No.
communicated, but he was a stranger to us and wound up being
Mhm.
family immediately.
Immediately.
Immediate family.
And already I'm like, next year you have to come back.
Oh.
Of course, like,
Yeah.
of course. But I think it was so cool because from our first conversation, he got it.
Yeah.
And I was very clear about like anybody that I bring into this space. And we're very small fish. So it's like, it's an honor that anybody would want to
Sure.
do this, because it's still so new. And people are like, who is this random person in Columbus, Ohio? But at the same time, he was excited. He got it. He was game for whatever I was throwing at him, and just so kind and welcoming the minute he came in. And I think that's just kind of the bar moving forward.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, you've changed it in a
Yeah.
sense where it's like, if we're bringing somebody else in, I want to protect this hub of like creativity and safety. And I think that's something that I'm always going to fight for in any space that I'm working in. If I have any control, I just want it to be safe and fun and be able to play and get paid properly. And like, it's just, I could get on a box about
And every
that.
one of us would have done it for $5, right? The pay was honestly gravy, but to know for Connor to come in and know that he didn't know until he knew that he was supported fully. It was, you've created this soft bed in which to land where any of us can take risks. We can make choices that are bananas. And you're like, great, how can I support you in that bananas choice? And we don't get an opportunity like that all the time. So we're small fish, but the art you're creating is top level. Maybe not everyone nationally has seen it, but it's still top level. And for a true artist, creating that is the exciting bit, whether it's seen by millions of people or, you know, 2 sold out crowds at Natalie's. It's worth it.
Yeah, I can't even believe that our little baby project has gotten into its second year and that it was 2 nights of sold out, and the enthusiasm that people had, and even people sharing, they felt so comfortable that they were sharing stories about how difficult their winter had been, and this
Yeah.
was like a breath of fresh air for them, or how nostalgic it was for them, or seeing children come out to that
Oh,
space,
I
which, like, there's
know.
generally not kids and
At
at
Natalie's, right.
Natalie's, which, because it's a concert hall, it's a
Sure.
music hall, and the shows are kind of later, and that's totally fine. But
With
like,
amazing pizza, by
oh
the
my
way.
god,
Go for the pizza alone, if
go for
nothing
the
else.
pizza,
Yeah.
stay for the music, and
Yeah.
enjoy the cocktails. Come
Oh,
on,
really? Oh, that place
the
is
mixology.
yeah.
Um, it was just like this precious moment, and the kids coming up and wanting to take photos, and it was like we had this like magical thing
Mhm.
that, like, I still feel like maybe I was like leading the ship, but it was so much bigger than I could have anticipated.
You were
The
leading the
best
ship.
gift of my
And it was
life.
great because you were leading the ship. So wear that proudly, my dear friend.
Put that hat on.
Oh my Lord, it's thank you 40 minutes. I can't believe I got to wrap it up already. I'm
No!
so
Thank you, Hour.
grateful.
Thank you, Hour.
Thank you, Hour. I know, but I could sit and talk to you for hours and hours and hours. And when tequila's not involved, and then when it is involved, then all
It's a
bets are
day.
off. I love you.
I love you so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom. How can people find Honey and Blue?
We're on all the socials,
Yeah, you
just
are.
Honey and Blue. Check us out, and honestly, I don't say this lightly. I am so proud of you for
Oh,
creating this and for having such a brilliant show and for being such a thoughtful host, and I feel very honored to be a part of this catalog now.
I'm only as good as my guests, and you're the best there is, my friend.
my
I'm
God.
really thrilled that you're here. Thanks.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you more.
Bye.
Bye.
Boxland Media. Think big.